Good morning. Coffee Cup Chronicles, day 37, Victoria, BC, Canada. How are y'all this morning? And yes, there is coffee in that cup. And yes, very much needed coffee this morning. Slept hard last night. Hey, a lot to tell you about Victoria, BC, Canada. So, years ago, out of Bellingham, Washington, where I was working, decided to take a nice long weekend. We drove down to Seattle, took a ferry across to Bainbridge Island. We went to the Blue Star Diner first, and then we took another ferry, and I don't remember what the port was called, out of the Washington side, and went up to Victoria, BC, Canada, on Vancouver Island. Great place. If you get a chance to go spend 3 days or two minimum. A lot of good places. Man, it's memorable, let me tell you. So, one of the first things we did is we went to high tea at the Empress Hotel. They've been doing it for over 100 years, twice a day, noon and 2. So we went to the 2 o'clock. $36.95 for tea each. They bring out the little 3-level thing. It's got crumpets on it and scones and jams, all homemade. Incredible. People pour your tea for you. Truly an event. It's just something you have to go experience. You could do it stateside, but Empress Hotel in Victoria, Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada. It was fantastic. 2 hours. One of the things I remember is that Major D came over and they were talking to us, or he was talking to us, and somebody on the far side sitting at a table dropped a utensil. I got to show you, he did this. And then he goes back and continues the conversation with us. But lo and behold, about 45 seconds or so later, they dropped another utensil. He said, "Excuse me." Real quiet, walked over, whispered it in her ear. She was gone. They don't put up for that. Talk about service. Tremendous service. Later that evening, went up to a resort called the Airy, way up in the mountains, northwest of Vancouver. 8-course dinner. Oh, yeah. The price? No. Don't worry about the price. Go once. Go at least once for an 8-course dinner. It was romantic. They have this little glass figurine on the table with olive oil in it, with a little wick burning. It was so beautiful. I'm sitting there, and she looks across from me, and there's 3 deer behind me out the window. Unbelievable. 8-course meal. 3.5 hours to eat. It was fantastic. It was just one of those things to do. Then when we got ready to leave 2 or 3 days later, and there's a lot of other things. We watched the seaplanes come in. Oh, the car ferry that we took over, I think it was come from Townsend over to Victoria. It was so big. We're sitting in line ready to get on, and I'm watching them take semi-trucks and tour buses and putting them on the bottom. It was a 2-decker. And it was like an hour and 10-minute crossing. It was gorgeous. But to get on a ferry with that, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, this ship gonna sink. Well, it didn't. So anyway, the last thing was Sunday morning when we got ready to leave. Of course, we went to a nice restaurant, had this gorgeous breakfast. And right now, I don't want to get up and look, but the name, the blue something, the blue heron, I think it was. Anyway, we're going up the highway. We decided to go out of the north end of Victoria and go over to Vancouver, the city of Vancouver. And I'm going down the road, and there's this place called Bouchard Gardens. Thought, what the heck? Let's go in. Now, I paid for everything up to now. So we pull up, and it's the premier gardens of the Western Hemisphere. There's nothing like it. And I mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. Pulled up, and we went to, was talking to the lady. My wife handed me, she said, well, I'll pay for this one. I said, okay. The lady looks at you and says, that'll be $35 each for a garden. Here you go. It was hilarious. But let me tell you, 55 acres of gardens, including a sunken garden, a rose garden, waterfalls. So what it is back in the early 1900s, it's an old limestone quarry. And the gentleman, Bouchard, was mining limestone, shipping it down to the States so they can make products out of it. Well, his wife got tired of seeing the bare walls and the bare grounds, so she started trucking in and building this garden. She was trucking in topsoil and everything else. It's so gorgeous. Green, red, yellow, tulips, you name it, roses, sunken gardens. It was 3 hours, almost 4 hours, just walking through the fragrance that was going on. What a fantastic end to a fantastic weekend. Now, there's a moral to that story. Go visit these places I'm talking about in my Chronicles. I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad that I had parents that made sure we went on vacation every year, no matter what it was, where we went. Every year we went down to Allegheny State Park in New York for camping. Almost every year in my childhood that I can remember, Memorial Day, we would drive down to Virginia to pick up my grandfather, bring him back for the summer, and then Labor Day we would take him back. And sure enough, we got to tour Washington, D.C. lots of times. We'd go to the ballpark with my Uncle Joe. He would always buy ice cream on the way home for us. Then that's become a habit. It's funny because down there you buy ice cream in the drugstore. Hey, it worked. But listen, folks, get out. Take your children. Go visit these places. Even if it's off the wall and if it's an off the wall place, out of the way, take a detour and go. Your children will never forget it. And it's lifelong experiences like these that really get to you. Victoria, BC, Canada. Well, once they open the border back up, okay? Enjoy. Take heed. Stay warm. It's cold out there. 13 degrees today in Buffalo. Have a great one.